Hi guys. Hi guys. I actually filmed this look. This is kind of like my holiday look that I usually do for special occasions. It didn't work out. I didn't like the footage that I filmed. Couldn't even see half of my face most of the time, so I decided to just ditch on that video and talk about more important stuff. I think to decide whether I would talk about this or not on my channel, but I've decided that, there's no harm in talking about this. It may even be a beneficial thing for some of you who's also going through this type of situation. This is me advocating for myself, and I think that's very important these days. So yeah, let's start. So hi, my name is Jean. I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder and anxiety disorder last year. It's almost going to be 2 years, like in terms of dealing with depression and anxiety. And I just want to share my journey with you on how I got where I am right now, which is a lot better compared to where I was last year. My husband and I were newly married when we found out that I have this certain condition. It was definitely very hard for us because we were just starting out living together and we were still adjusting, and now we needed to adjust to this new type of challenge. My depression got really triggered when I couldn't cope with stress anymore because last year there were a lot of things that I was going through. Like, I got engaged, and then I actually got into a car accident with the company I was working with, and so I had to go to get rehab, and I was also planning my wedding, and I was traveling a lot, and I had to go back to rehab. Yeah, it took a toll on me. There was a time where I couldn't sleep anymore. Like, I would go to work, fly in another country, and I'd go back here without any sleep. And that's the time when I thought that it was becoming hazardous for me to continue my work because I wasn't able to fully do my work as a safety person. And I thought that, it was time to seek help because I wasn't acting like myself anymore. And maybe I was acting like myself, but I was acting like the worst version of myself. It was really hard to go through that because when I was diagnosed, I went to 3 doctors. Two of them I didn't have a great experience. Other one is still my doctor, but I don't go to therapy regularly anymore. I'm on medication. Compared to last year, I am able to be more functional because last year, for example, this video didn't work out. This happened last year. I would have had a major breakdown where I would lose it. Like, I'd cry. I wouldn't be able to handle this would have been too much to handle for me. And I know that sounds crazy because you think that, she should be able to go through that without breaking down, but that's the thing with depression and anxiety. Like, it doesn't make sense. Anything can trigger you. Small thing, even the bigger things can definitely debilitate you to the point that you're unable to do the most mundane things possible, like showering or getting out of the bed. And here in the Philippines, before, I found it really hard to be open about my disorder because here, I feel like all over the world it's common, but it's something that's not, it's still like a stigma, you know, it's not talked about openly. There's still a lot of negative connotations surrounding it, like perceptions. And, you know, that is a challenge. It sucks because, you know, we as a mentally disabled people, we want to be understood because that is how we feel like we're heard, like that is how we feel validated, because everything about our disorder is in the mind. Like my therapist would always tell me, it's an invisible illness. That's why a lot of people, even us, it's very hard for us to even stay aware of it, because when we say that, you know, we have depression or anxiety, you know, it's not always there. There are times where we feel we're normal, and then when, you know, depression hits us, then we'd be like, oh yeah, almost forgot about this. And so I don't really blame a lot of people from not being aware of mental illness, because it's hard. Even for us, it's hard. As someone who's been living with depression for about 2 years now, it's really a process to get to a point where I'm always aware that, you know, it's there, but not to the point that it would hinder me from doing the things that I still enjoy, that I want. Like this, I've always wanted to do makeup. I was a makeup artist before. Before I was a flight attendant, I told myself that I'd come back to being a makeup artist in one way or another, and this is a better outlet for me with my condition now, because I can just stay at home and do this. And even if this doesn't lead to anything, I don't really care, because this is what I want to do and this is what I'm able to do. And I'm maximizing the resources that I have. And yeah, it makes me happy. It makes me feel fulfilled. I'm not for the instant gratification. I'm for, you know, fulfilling myself, doing things that makes me happy. I just want to let you guys know that I am dealing with this stuff, with depression, with anxiety, and it definitely affects my daily life. And right now, it's definitely much better. But before, it was definitely, it was dark to say the least. It was dark, it was hard, it was something that unimaginable for me, because like my therapist told me, depression, it's always a different experience for everyone. Really stuck to me what she said, because she was like, I have a patient who's trying to finish college, but she's not able to because she got depressed, and so that hinders her from completing her thesis. Like it's such a struggle for her to even go to school, because she got depressed in that stage of her life, where me, I was kind of still starting out my career as a flight attendant. I got sick. So for me, the experience is like quitting my career, basically, like that point in life where you lose your career because of a certain situation, certain circumstance. And she has another patient who's around 40 years old. Like, you know, he's pretty much has it all together for the most days, but still, he would need counseling every now and then, especially if he's going through some tough things for him. Like, if it's become too much to handle for him, then he would really need an extra help from our doctor because it can get too much, and that's the situation that we're all trying to avoid, is when it gets too much and we start to spiral when we get into a difficult situation, and that difficult situation gets us in a very deep and what do you call it, like it's almost like a trap. We're in that difficult situation, and since we have a mental illness, I have depression, like my brain automatically thinks of the worst things that it could happen, then it just goes down into a deep deep hole that is it's very hard for me to even go to a decent level of thinking. You know, I remember before, when I would get to that point and I'm alone at home because my husband, he had to go somewhere for work, and like I would call my friend and I would tell him, this is what I'm thinking right now, and do I make sense? Because I knew during that situation where I'm really at my low, and when I know that the depression is taking over the way I'm thinking, like I'm not thinking clear. I feel like this is not me right now. I feel like something really happening in my brain right now, and I need someone who I can trust to not validate things for me, but just like be there to listen to me, kind of like wait it out with me. I'd also feel safe with myself because it really got to the point where I couldn't be left alone because I would get really bad anxiety. I would have anxiety attacks. Also really affected my relationship with my husband. Like first year was the hardest. It got to the point that I was saying, this is not working, man. Like it's too hard to work on myself while also being a wife, adjusting to this kind of life with another person. It was hard because I wanted to be a good wife. I wanted to be able to adjust to, the next chapter of my life, and I wasn't able to. And that's when I decided to really focus on myself and kind of like cut myself off from everyone except for my family and close friends. And for a year, I went the holistic route of healing my depression alongside with cognitive behavioral therapy with my doctor. And after a year, I made some progress for sure, but that progress, it was kind of got to the point where every progress I made, I would get disappointed because it felt like the downfall is much worse, and I'm in a worse place than I was before that. Got to a point where my relationship with my husband was not in a great place. It was hard. Like, you don't stand a chance. Like, basically, the depression was definitely winning. After that, I went to my doctor again, and this time he had a group session with some other patients of hers. This was the time when I was enlightened with medication. I said, like, I don't want to try medication without trying the holistic approach first because I've lived that lifestyle for a long time. Like, I've always been someone who tries to be healthy, who tries to be conscious of what I put in my body. I've always been an active person. There was never a point in my life where I didn't do anything physically. I'm gonna try this, my method first. I didn't want to go to medication right away because I wasn't really that comfortable in doing that. My doctor agreed with me, was definitely guiding me through everything, and I had an open line with her in case of an emergency. So after a year, that's when I decided to try out medication. Yeah, I'd say that medication definitely helped alleviate that heaviness, that depression can bring to a person, like that inability to bring yourself up, the inability to bring yourself up by yourself. Right now, I'm at that point where if I'm having a hard time, I'm able to talk myself out of it, or like not out of it, because it's still a process for me. But for me, because in depression, our response to difficult situation is fight or flight. Our brain automatically goes there. So with medication, I feel like personally, disclaimer, this is based on my experience alone. This is what everyone who has depression is going through. I'm not saying that this is like for my own experience, my own research, my own doctor, my life. Like with depression, we have this fight and flight response. I started medication. That's the first thing that I noticed, is that my reaction to things were slower. For me, that was great. It would give me enough time to process things a little bit slower, a little bit more cognitively, a little bit more logically for that standard way of thinking for a normal person, where I can meet that, kind of like formulate how I can react, or if this is something that's just in my head, or if it's that's in my head and I'm the one who's trying to escalate things, or if this is something that's really an issue. Am I making sense? I am at that point where I can take my time to think things through, because before, in my experience, when I am in a difficult situation, all I want to do is leave home. All I want to do is drive away, get lost. I wasn't reckless. I just need to get away. And for some it's very healthy, but when you're in a pretty difficult and low mindset, it's really not ideal. It's either I have that tendency of running away, not caring how I run away, or I I blow up. Both things. I don't have a cell phone right now because I've smashed a lot of phones because I was mad. I couldn't handle my emotions. I didn't know where to place them. I get really mad at my husband, and that's something that really woke me up. I don't want to be that person. I don't want that to be a part of my life, and that's why I really tried to work on myself for a good year. And it's also the reason why I didn't go into medication, because for me it felt like I needed to know myself first. I needed to know things about myself. I needed to reflect things that happened to me. I needed to fully get the picture of things. And yeah, and so I did that. So what basically got me a little bit better for that first year without medication is routine, that every day I should at least run for 30 minutes. I should be able to meditate, yoga, and that's it. Sounds so simple, but there were days where I can't even do one thing. I remember it was so hard for me because these are the things that I enjoyed before I got depressed. Running, no problem. Yoga, no problem. Meditating, no problem. But when I got depressed, like I felt so bad. Like if I wouldn't be able to do one thing, I'd feel super guilty, which is another symptom of depression, is like feeling guilt more than you have to. And so I would feel guilty, and so I'd really have to drag myself out of the bed and onto my mat. And I remember sometimes I'd do yoga and I'd cry, like I'd break down on my mat, and like it's definitely crazy. It's crazy for me because I wasn't like this. Like in 26 years, I wasn't like this. This is all new to me. That's why I'm saying it's crazy. But with a person dealing with depression for his or her whole life, then this wouldn't be crazy. This would be that person's normal. When it started happening to me, it was abnormal for me. But having fully accepted my condition, this is my normal. My normal is not normal. It's a different life, to say the least. It's just a different life, and that's okay. You know, I am still me. Anything, like I told my doctor, I'm thankful actually that, I'm actually thankful for that year off because I was able to really know myself, and I needed that. I needed to know myself. I needed to be able to take care of myself the way I need to, the way my body responds to. For example, if you are taking good care of a doctor, you'd feel amazing. You'd feel great about yourself. You'd feel, you just feel great. Imagine a life where you yourself, you know what works for you, and you just continue doing that. You just continue taking care of yourself for the rest of your life. Imagine how enlightening that would be for you, how you would just love yourself even more and more to the point that you're practically independent, but not that independent to the point that you don't need anyone, because we all need someone. We all need our friends. We all need our families, because we're human. We're human. We need connection. We strive for connection, and that is the most important lesson that I learned in that year, is that I can't do it alone. I can do it alone, but with the support of others, it's more fulfilling. It's that's for me, that's a fulfilled life. Is I'm able to do the things that I want, even if it doesn't make sense for for other people. Like right now, I freaking don't care anymore. Like, if someone looks at me funny, like, okay, sorry, at least we're not friends. At least, you know, I just care about my friends, my family, people I look up to, and for me, that is a more sustainable way of living life, because I am not trapped in this attitude that I feel like a lot of people are trapped in, seeking validation from, from people who don't even think about them that much, from the wrong people, from social media. Like for me, I don't care if I get like 50 likes in my post, as long as my husband, like, I most importantly, if I like that picture, I don't care. Like, I'm happy, like, great, I look good in that picture and I feel confident in that picture, and that's about it. Yeah, I'd look, how many likes I get. That's normal. That's just part of social media, what social media taught us. So yeah, what I'm basically saying is that I'm super duper thankful that I am at the point where I'm able to handle the more difficult things again without going through destructive behaviors and destructive emotions. I don't know, I just feel like sharing that to whoever watches this video, because I don't know, if even just one person relates to this video, then I'd be, I don't know, that's awesome. That's one of the major pros of social media for me, I think, because I used to think that social media was super toxic. Like, I stayed away from it for, oh, like, repeatedly. Like, I'd be on social media, I'd be off social media. But, like, now I think social media is a great platform for this, for talking about this type of condition that's definitely common amongst us. And so, yeah, if you have any video requests about, about my condition, or how I'm coping, or like like how my husband um deals with it also, we would really love to share that with you guys. So that's it for this video. Bye.